Alright, can you hear me out there? Hear me off? There's a lot of noise here from the air conditioners blowing and stuff, but I got the Bronco back from the transmission shop. That's Rimac transmission in San Dimas. Leo and his guys there did a real good job. They went through the whole transmission, put a new torque converter. They said it had the wrong separator plate, and apparently something was wrong with the torque converter. I figured it wasn't the right torque converter from the beginning, but what do I know? Torque converter, separator plate, a couple other things, you know. 1,800 bucks. That wasn't too bad. I was expecting a whole lot more. He says it didn't need a complete rebuild. It just had some screwed up work done to it from the last shop I took it to. So. The last guy that tried to fix it, yeah. One issue though. One issue that he brought to my attention that I might want to look into was that these LED lights I put these LED lights in not too long ago, just monkeying around, you know, after I got it painted. I eventually was going to change out those lights anyway, so I figured, let me see if I can get this to work. Well, these LED lights are affecting the transmission. I'll give you a little explanation of that right now. I was thinking he was full of it when he told me that, but I was doing my little research right now, and I go, oh yeah, you know what? I bet he's right. Wow, the ground's hot. Those lights right there. They're just regular LED trailer lights I put on there, just because I wanted to see if it would work. And yeah, it works, but it affects the electronic controls that are on the that control the transmission and everything. And you're kind of asking, I had to ask myself, why would that have anything to do with the transmission? Well, you got to look at the wiring diagram and all that stuff, and if you know how the transmission works, this transmission has a electronically controlled torque converter that locks up when it's supposed to and unlock when it's supposed to. So basically, to sum it up, when you apply the brakes, it's like putting a clutch on a manual. It's got to release the clutch, so it unlocks the torque converter. So how does it know to unlock the torque converter? Well, it gets a signal, electronic signal, every time you press the brake. There's a switch on the brake pedal there that sends power to the lights, but also sends power back to the electronic controller. And it tells the torque converter, hey, release the torque converter or unlock the torque converter. This guy's coming to a stop. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. So now how do these lights affect that? Well, typically in an incandescent, your standard factory old style light bulbs, you have two filaments. Drive, parking brake, no wait, what do you call it? Parking light, yeah, your parking light or running lights, and then you got your brake lights, and you have a ground. Well, they're two separate circuits, right? They're two separate circuits. It's like almost having two different light bulbs in there. These LEDs do not. They do not have two separate light bulbs in there or two separate circuits. They're all one circuit with 3 wires. And I'll show you what happens when I turn the engine on here. So just hang in there. Alright, gonna have to do this real quick. So like here's the issue I was having. See, it's fixed now. But these lights would glow just a little bit for some reason, and I didn't know why, but that actually was sending the signal back to the computer, telling the computer to release the torque converter. So there you have it. See that? See how they're glowing there? Just barely. They had a little glow, and I thought, wow, that's kind of weird. What I didn't know, that would affect the torque converter and the transmission and all that kind of stuff. So the reason why they're on right now, for some reason, is because this bulb was missing. See this bulb? This bulb goes to the third brake light up there. And the guy, Leo, or his shop guys over there at Remac Transmission, found that bulb wasn't even in the third brake light. So they put that in, and that solved the problems. That turned off the lights, which means there's no signal going back feeding to the computer, telling the torque converter to release, to unlock. So once you put this light bulb in, it fixed my major problem there. Who took the bulb out, I have no idea. You know, maybe it was a body shop guy, maybe it was the last transmission shop messing with me, I have no idea. But as you can see right now, they're on. They're supposed to be off. I have no lights on, I have no brakes or nothing on. And I'll put the third brake light bulb back in. And that kills the lights. Problem solved. Holy moly. Yeah, so that just goes to show you, you know, these new cars are complicated. One thing affects the other, and you know, you really got to think it out. You got to have a sharp mechanic, mechanically wise and also electronically wise, to trace this stuff down, because it could be anything these days. I mean, this is what, a 20-year-old car. Imagine a newer car or a newer truck. More complicated, very more complicated systems on them than this. This is fairly simple, I would think. So yeah, that just blows my mind. So I'm going to go back with the factory lights. I'm not going to mess around with these LEDs and have other issues down the line, because you know, hey, it looks cool, right? Yeah, but I'm not going to upgrade the lights. I'm just going to put the factory lights back on. I also, let's see, what else did I also do? So yeah, we'll put that back on, of course. But yeah, who would think the third brake light would affect your transmission and your everything else, or your brake lights in general? I got these off the Tacoma. These are really good Arc Beam lights, very inexpensive on Amazon. But look for Arc Beam. There are some copycat blah, lights out there. Yeah. So I got these off the Tacoma. I put the 30-inch one on the Tacoma. But I still have to wire these. Actually, I do have the wiring and switches there. I just have to plug these in. And I did buy plugs for them. I don't know. Yeah, and then I got to upgrade those lights to 100 to the 75 watt HIDs. I've got 75 watt HID kits, just like the ones I put on the Tacoma. So I just got to change those out and kind of clean up the wiring. I got some ideas on the wiring. And then I really like to go through this interior of the truck. I put a Pioneer head system in here. I always had Pioneers. The CDs don't skip when you go off-road and stuff like that, but the last two have been crap. Just cheap Chinese junk. This one here is probably a year old or so, and it's just nothing but problems. And then, you know, seats. It rattles a lot. It's old, you know, 20 years old. I got to do something to tighten that up. It drives me nuts. I like windows up, AC blowing it nice and quiet inside. Meanwhile, yeah, I got to order the lights, and then I'll probably do the rear lights and the HID lights on the roof. And I got to get my Power Master alternator fixed. It's a 160 amp Power Master alternator. It was about over $300 I bought it for, but one of the bearings or something's going bad on it, because it doesn't spin nice and smooth. You can feel it. So I put the factory alternator back in. Factory alternators works fine. It just doesn't have enough amperage when I'm running 130 watt, 130 watt halogen light bulbs. You know, the alternator gauge goes way down. So that's about it. Yeah, that's it for Thursday. Another hot, sunny Southern California day.